Fred Claxton is moderating our next panel. Fred, if you could get your panel and start bringing everybody up here, that would be terrific. Fred himself is the third generation family business, providing transportation, equipment, and businesses such as rail, fleet, airport, GSC, and tank shipping containers. Fred's the retired CEO and chair Fred retired from the CEO and chair role in 2019, moving from Chicago to Naples. His current life stage, Fred is involved in a number of charities and is on the board of Family Business Network, which oversees, which counsels a lot of upwards and companies and family offices. Fred is here to introduce the rest of his panel. Fred, as much as you can speed things up to try and keep us on time, would we appreciate it.
All right, we'll try to keep moving along. Thanks, everybody. Three people on our panel today. Barbara Quincius. Barbara served as CFO of Windway Capital, working alongside an MIT-trained CEO patriarch Terry Kohler to create North Technology Group, a global yachting technology company later sold to a London-based firm. She also provided oversight to the family-built Chilean Patagonia flyout fishing resort sold to a Chilean national. After 27 years at Kohler, Quincius migrated to Naples to join Crescent MFO and Trust Company before accepting her current CEO role for Circle L Capital Management, where she serves Generation 4 to 6 as they move from business owning to financial family office. Beyond the financials, Quincius has a passion in preparing and empowering the next generation stewards to foster unique gifts and contributions in shaping their ongoing positive impact and family legacy. Next to her is Michael Wynn, who of course we already heard from, and Michael, as we know, chairman of the Wynn Family Companies, president of Sunshine Ace Hardware, and former chair of the Miami branch of the board of directors, Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. And at the end, Timothy Cartwright. Timothy is a partner and co-founder at Fifth Avenue Family Office here in Naples. Fifth Avenue Family Office is a multi-family office that serves a select group of ultra-high net worth families with multi-generational wealth. Prior, he co-founded Byproducts Interactive, an electronic trading, market, and publishing company which he sold in 2021 to Euromoney Institutional Investor PLC, a PTSE 250 public company. Earlier, he founded Benchmark Solutions, a supply chain consulting company which was sold in 1999. He began his career working with middle market companies at Arthur Andersen in Chicago.
Arthur Andersen?
Yeah, Arthur Andersen. Mr. Cartwright recently completed a 12-year term as a member of the Florida Gulf Coast University's Foundation Board, finishing as chair of the board. For the 6th consecutive year, he was named by Florida Trend magazine to the list of Florida's 500 most influential business leaders due to his venture capital and private equity activity with the Miami Angel Funds and Adrenaline Venture Fund. He resides in Naples with his wife and 3 children, softball coach, soccer coach, active member of his church. And Stephen Collins, who was going to be on our panel, unfortunately was taken ill, but he was going to be joining us. He's currently the founder and chief executive officer of a multifamily office based in St. Petersburg. So I will start off with the first question for Barb. Can you explain your approach and passion in attending to both the financial and family capital and the impact that has served multi-generational ultra-high net worth families?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today. Take this, I guess. I love this sort of idea of bringing everyone together, peer groups, idea generation, a lot of smart people. My passion is in finance, and I actually thought of going into the ministry, but I found that there is ministry within family business and family office when you're serving multi-generations, because many CFOs are like run the other way from the soft issues, whereas it is the soft issues that become the hard financial issues. We've all seen the show Succession. It is not by chance that families have generational 100-year family offices or family businesses and the impacts that have on the community. And I'm a free enterprise gal and love finance and free entrepreneurship. But the soft issues are the families that come together, have Thanksgiving together, but then go to the board meeting, duke it out over how much distribution versus how much to put back into the business and the community. So that's where my passion stems from. The two, you can't have one without the other. It's free enterprise that actually creates the IPO, that creates the publicly traded market. Without the free enterprise and the VC and the startup and that entrepreneurship mindset and the heart of the families to continue together, just like as you did, and generational shifts and generational ideas, and being able to hand off the baton and allow the next generation to fail, but also cheer them on to success and bring their ideas and their fingerprint and impact to the family and how their giftedness. I just love seeing how that can all come together. So.
Great. Thank you, Barb. For Michael, how has your experience with the Federal Reserve of Atlanta influenced your approach to family business and to investments?
So, and what I would say on that is that one, getting behind the scenes, really kind of understanding the mechanics behind monetary policy and how these decisions are made, as well as the data that kind of influences those decisions, has helped us be far less emotional and much more strategic and data-driven in our decisions. Both from expansion as well as different business segments that we invest in, and understanding that most of what we hear on the news is basically a lot of noise and completely disconnected from what is happening from actual economic data and trends. One of the things that I committed to during the Great Recession was that I was not going to fly blind. We would have, a much better handle on economic projections, etc. So it was, invested in some economists and regular reporting to be able to kind of help make better decisions that way. That, combined with my experience really with the Federal Reserve, helped us be a much more data-driven, strategic decision maker with respect to our decisions, timing of different investments, and overall kind of the expected return, and when, frankly, we double down on leverage and whether we use our own capital.
Thank you, Michael. For Tim, how do you define the family office market? Is it simply a question of assets under management?
It's assets under management, but it's also complexity of the family. My partner and I kind of have an interesting viewpoint on this. We actually believe everybody has a family office. And we just categorize it into 4 different categories. A solo family office, which is typically somebody that just does it themselves, and they may do it through E-Trade or robo-advisor like Wealthfront or something like that. Then you have a virtual family office, which is, again, can be kind of a solo, but they will have an accountant and an attorney and kind of run a virtual family office. The next step up is an embedded family office, and that's where we typically find our clients, and that's when the family office is embedded in the business. And typically we'll meet our clients either a couple years before the sale of their business or a couple of years after the sale of their business, and they've lost their family office because it was embedded in the business. So their choice then is to go the independent family office route, which would either be a multi-family office or a single family office. They typically don't step back and go to a virtual family office. So that's kind of where we meet it, and we define the family office marketplace in 4 categories.
Okay, thank you, Tim. And Kara, I'm just going to keep going until you pause us for 5 minutes of Q&A.
Just try to speak shorter as you go.
Yeah, so the next question for Barb is, when you take over the CIO position for a new family, what's key?
Well, this family office I just joined, I came on, and we kid because I joined in April, and we say I'm still onboarding because I came on to them and we're selling 2 companies. So that was my introduction to, well, I guess this CIO thing is going to be for real. Let's moving to a financial family office. And I've gone, through with a Colder family that I was with in Windway Capital Corp. We bought and sold a lot of companies, so I love that side of it as well. So help lead through that, but then also, learning about the 90 trusts they have and all the, however many tax returns, and getting to know my team was a lot of the first part. And I'm always a proponent of, if you can save 40% in tax with this estate planning and other good tax planning, it's a pretty good start to return on investment. So I look at investments that way, but I don't let tax determine how we position. So now we are finally in a position where you are here. I'm training and working with Gen 2. We've also gone through a succession to G2 from G1, which is G1 was really G4. So teaching them that you are here, what are financials. So just finished the sale of the company, went to a family meeting and did a presentation on Trust 101 and tried to make it fun and entertaining since no one, everyone has the attention span of a goldfish, 20 seconds. And then Investments 101. And
how many people were in the room with that presentation?
that was 30 people. And they've been meeting for a while, so this is G2 and G3. So I had the grandkids who were, anyone from 16 years and older could sit in the room and learn from this. Anyone who had interest could take part in it, but parents would decide if there was attention span issues. But we made a lot of fun. I did a lot with Jay Hughes, who's Your Trust is a Gift. You are an actor in this play. You're a beneficiary, but you have a role to play, not just be told what this legal document. And so made it a lot of fun. And so it's really exciting to bring them all together. I'm a teacher by heart. And now we're starting to go and see, okay, what are our interests? Where do we need to build in for our allocations and take it from there?
That's great. Thanks, Barbara. Michael, Sunshine Ace is a longstanding local business. How do you balance the local impact with the broader business strategies?
Yeah. I would say that I really see them as kind of more integrated. Great communities don't happen by accident. When we have good, healthy growth in the community, it is helping our business, and that ties into many of the initiatives that Kathleen was talking about, which is why we've been certainly helpful, or at least involved either intimately or on the outside, from affordable housing to mental wellness to even our local initiatives like the expansion of the Heart and Stroke Institute for NCH. All those things are going to elevate Collier County, just as Gulf Shore Playhouse does, which then is good for our business. So we've had a long-standing tradition in our family of being involved in the community. In fact, my only negative review I ever got was not spending enough time volunteering. I quickly overcorrected probably on that. But one of the things that is been passed down. My grandfather served on the city council in the early '50s. Part of the zoning that was passed that made public beach access permanent, as well as limited high rises and other condos on the beach. So we've recognized and been a part of kind of the visioning for our local community, knowing that long term that is going to pay dividends for our business.
Thank you, Michael. Tim, as a multifamily office, how do you set a governance model for the families that you serve?
So when we talk to our families, we talk to them almost like a corporation. We get them to think of family enterprise. And so we'll want to set a board for that family enterprise so that they can manage all the various asset classes, all of the various entities and trusts that they have. We'll set up a board with typically Gen 1 with 2. We'll try and get Gen 2 with at least 1 or 2. But I think critically important is to get an independent member in that board. And then we kind of run it just like a regular corporate board. The two duties on a corporate board, duty of care, duty of loyalty. And that duty of loyalty becomes challenging, right, when it's your family and maybe your generation, and you're tempted to think of yourself or your nuclear family, and you've got to think, where is that loyalty pledge? That loyalty pledge is multi-generational. So when you have a trust and maybe it will reimburse tuition at colleges, you have to think in this mindset of fair but not equal, right? So if someone goes to UPenn and they get their tuition paid for versus maybe Florida Gulf Coast University, different tuitions, there's not a true up in payment. The trust just covers both of those tuitions. It's just fair but not equal. So that's where the board comes in, and I think it's really, really important to help keep us focused on those issues.
Yeah, good thoughts. Thanks, Tim. Barbara, what are the key differences between managing a family business in the U.S. and in Switzerland? How do you handle that?
Well, so when I was with the Kohler family, I think this got mixed up because the family I work for now is in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, not Lake Geneva, Switzerland. However, that was an old question. Pretty close. Lake Geneva, Wisconsin is the new Florida, Chicago, but I did do business in Lake Geneva, Switzerland, when I was with the Kohler family, one of our operating companies there for North Technology Group, where we created North Inflight technology for golf shafts, Richard Mille watches. We did the case covers, and so we had a global company. And so I got to know people from around the world in family office space as well as family business. And I think as a U.S. family office, you are a global family. I mean, we're all thinking more multinational with multinational companies. Like some people say, you know, I'm like, I can invest U.S. and long U.S., but it's U.S. companies that are around the world globally, and I know what their due diligence audit standards are making. And so I look at the world kind of through that lens, and we can benefit a lot through our investing in other parts of the world for sure. And there's risks as well.
Okay, thank you. Michael, is it better to be a big fish in a smaller pond or vice versa?
I always kind of like being, I would say, yeah, we probably, like being kind of a big fish in a small pond, but we always kind of get to think about we're going up against the most well-funded, biggest corporations in history in terms of, Amazon, in terms of Home Depot, et cetera. So I always like kind of, playing David versus Goliath. However, on a local basis, we like, being able to exert, influence, for the benefit of the community as well as hopefully for the benefit, of our business. So I kind of would kind of stratify that, the answer to my question saying, I like to have my cake and eat it too. When it benefits me, I like to kind of play, hey, we're the little guy against the big guy, and, use that, to our advantage, whether it's in negotiating or in getting different things, kind of done in advocacy, et cetera, and public policy. And then, when, we're, trying to move, significant projects forward, we come forth and, tap, some of the other things that I think, we have some strong records on, such as, we're the 10th largest purchaser from ACE in the nation. We utilize, that in a lot of different ways, as well as one of the largest employers in Southwest Florida.
And he won awards for the way they treat their employees.
We do focus a lot on our culture, absolutely.
Yes, that's awesome.
Thanks, Michael. Tim, what is the right size for a family governance board and the amount of participation by independent directors?
Well, no family, every family actually needs to have family meetings, whether you actually put a board together or not. But I would say anywhere north of 50 million AUM should require a board. It really is, if you have multi-generational wealth, you really need to have a board set up. And I think that as early as possible to bring an independent director on. I think it's a really healthy way to avoid the emotional arguments that can happen if it's just a family board.
Yeah, thank you. I think good thoughts. Yeah, I think we're ready for Q&A now.
Pass this mic.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've hit a lot of interesting themes.
Questions?
Questions? Dennis? Maybe also introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, Dennis Gursky with 1981 Ventures, a UK-based fund invested into Ukrainian founders globally. Look, my question is about attachment of specific families to specific industries, if I may put it this way. We see a lot of families, for example, shying away from tech in the recent year or so and trying to stick with real estate. But I assume there are families, or I have seen families who say we have made all our money on real estate and we don't want to get too far or too diversified. Have you seen any bad examples of families trying to stick to a specific industry that they feel comfortable with? And, or maybe the opposite, that like families trying to pivot and just get into crypto while being a real estate champions or something?
Somebody have any? Send that down. Sure.
The crypto question might actually work better over on the Miami portion of your trip. That's the crypto capital. I would say that with the families that we have, it's kind of interesting. 5% interest in money markets really changes a lot of people's investment decisions if that's the risk-free rate. So you've got to chase alpha somewhere else. But a lot of people are comfortable with 5. If you've got the 4% rule that you can live off of, then you never touch the principal. Why do anything except money markets? So I would say this. Our families typically have a closely held business. They sell that business. They were making probably somewhere between 20 to 30% net margin. Then they do their investing and they find they can't find that margin in their investment products. So what do? They round trip it and they go back and they say, let's go buy some privately held family businesses to get those margins back. So that's what I see, round trip.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that although, this kind of would tie, to Tim's comment, we are still a family board. We have not gotten those independent voices yet. I've had to set up an advisory board in the past that has helped really kind of navigate some of those, decisions. But what we've done is we have a lot of discussion regarding diversification, looking outside the traditional businesses. And fortunately, before we had to do the round trip, we did kind of an in-depth analysis of the return that we were making on overall equity and invested dollars, and honestly could not come up with a lot of other areas that we felt we were comfortable or had enough knowledge to kind of justify investing in that could come close to what that return was. And so what I would say is that over time, I think as we get other independent voices eventually on, then we can take and kind of put some at least a portion of those additional funds that we're willing to take a risk with people that have that knowledge and experience and kind of be comfortable going that route. Right now we're kind of sticking with what we know, but based on the very robust returns that frankly we can't find elsewhere.
And I'll just add to that. I think the families I've served over my career have all had operating companies. And there's been times within those operating companies, like the Kohler family, they have a 150-year company. The family I'm with now, they've been 150 years as well together. And you have to evolve. If you don't evolve, you die. So, one of ours was manufacturing, but they brought robotics in to keep jobs in Wisconsin, in Kohler, Wisconsin, in order to enhance the workforce, and that was ahead of its time. It's the same as like what AI is going to do. You have to embrace that. You have to find the niches. The tire, pick up tires. That this gentleman back here found, I'm like, that's a great idea. You find your niche, and you can fill it. It's just an entrepreneurial spirit. And I think when you come from owning companies, there's this patient capital. Like you are in it for a long. You're not making a decision for the next quarterly call. You're making it for the long term and making the right decision that way. So you have to continually evolve if you're going to stay.
Yep. Next question going out there? Yeah, Mark's going there.
Hi, I'm Samir Sodeshpande. I invest into energy and tech deals. My question, and I've had this with a couple of clients, right? So one is that we're working with one client. They built their business. It's about 300 million right now. They've made several billion over the last, 40 years of running that. Now, the patriarch of that business, we joke about what his succession plan is. He's in his 70s. His kids don't want to be in that business, right? So, they have a different sort of structure of the family office. The joke is that he's going to literally die on the production floor, right? He's going to drop dead and he's going to be happier than a pig and whatever, and his wife is then going to have to, figure out what to do with it. There's that. And then I'm talking to some investors in Miami who are telling me with my own closely held business that I should go public, however, because capital is easier in that situation, and they're focusing on the exit. Clearly, it's easier to exit if I go public as opposed to stay private. But I'm like, I don't necessarily want to do that because it's not right. So the question is, what have you seen in terms of let's say family offices that were entrepreneurs, right? Sold businesses, right, and let's say have had this tug back towards, closely held as opposed to, selling off and exiting completely.
Sort of like Michael just talked about.
I've seen some groups and met them. David Rubenstein's office, for example. No, this is real estate, to your point. They have a group that's they bring together family offices to go together and invest in things. Real estate this is, but for a longer term hold. But there's also some out of Miami that I've met, I can't think of their name right now, but it brings together family offices to invest in various opportunities as well. So it's like their own private equity, but it's a more evergreen. I mean, there's opportunity for exits, and I think there's more and more. We work with William Blair out of Chicago in this last sale of companies. They do quite a bit with being able to take some chips off the table, recapitalize, but still keep going. And you probably love what you're doing, but there probably is a point where you have to be real with yourself as well, like what makes sense, what's the succession, not only for your own business and what you've built, but also so many entrepreneurs care about the employees and the communities that they impact through their companies. So it's a nice way to be able to do what you do, but maybe not go public either, because there's many headaches that come with doing that. But I want to go to public as well, because I love investing in great firms in the public market too. So it's, the balancing act.
I hate to do it, but we're 15 minutes behind. So we're going to start, everything you see on the screen, not Miami, go back up. Just put 15 minutes on top of it. So now we're on time. That mindset.
Thank you.
But this is great. You touched, we could again talk probably for hours. I'd like to be in that board meeting you were describing.
Family meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
I'll share. I'm happy to share.
good stuff.
Yeah.
And we want to be in those syndications too. We have our own. we want to
Yeah,
talk about that
yeah.
as well. But thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, panel.
Come join our 361 firm community of investors and thought leaders. We have a lot of events created by the community as we collaborate on investments and philanthropic interests. Join us.